journal entries this quarter were a lot easier for me to understand. I was able to comprehend, break down, and reflect on them a lot easier because last quarter we did a lot of Old English such as Hamlet. That was our main focus last quarter, and being a first-time reader, that I really struggled with being able to keep up and understand what's going on. But with this quarter we started with a little bit more modern stuff such as Frankenstein. So the ways that I'm going to be showing you that I've improved my reading skills is through my notebook, my reading journal, the How to Be a Good Reader sheet, and other texts that we've read throughout the semester. Starting with Frankenstein, my personal favorite. The way I improved with this one was being able to understand the text more, and that's probably one of the best ways I've improved this semester because understanding is a lot. And so a way that I can prove that is by putting notes on almost every single page, and this notes like summarizing. So not just saying what happened, but putting it in my own words so that it sticks in my brain and I memorize it. But this helps when I end up on chapter 26 and I get a question from chapter 1. I know what's going on because I have those notes, and I took the time to annotate almost every other page. So that really helps, and that also ties in with how I've improved with memorization. So by taking the time to write it down and do it in my own words, it helps me focus on individual themes and individual scenes in the book rather than just the general idea of the book, just reading it through. It helps me get a hold of the characters more. Another way I've recognized my improvement was the walk around with the poetry. That was probably one of my favorite activities that we've done this entire year because I actually understood it, and it was a really cool thing to be a part of. So the one we started with was Satanic Hero. I said Victor was a satanic hero. He is trying to defy God's universe by reanimating the dead. He is isolated by society, but he also isolates himself because he feels that he doesn't really belong with the people that he's surrounded by. And he feels guilty for making the monster, and he knows that because he's created such an evil thing. Another one is Fire and Ice, Gothic Literature, and Doppelganger. I found a really good one for Doppelganger, but personally I didn't write this one. But I did see it on the board and I had to write it down because it was a really good one. So it says, Victor and the monster are both monsters in their own ways. Both also don't want to live the lives that they are living. The creation of the monster represents the creation of a new version of Frankenstein. Another one is from Gender Roles. It was Women Equal Saints. Now I didn't understand it at all, but I wrote it down and I put a question mark next to it because I had no idea what it was. So after going back in the book and thinking about every woman character in Frankenstein, I thought about Elizabeth, how she's angelic, she's beautiful, she, whenever Victor's down, she always brings him up. And then I started thinking about other women like Caroline, Victor's mother. She sacrificed her own life to aid Elizabeth back to health, somebody that wasn't even her daughter by blood. If that's not a saint, I don't know what is. So that's another way I've improved in reading, is being able to open up my mind to new ideas instead of just shutting them out, trying to go more into them and understand what other people are coming from. Another way I've improved in reading is patience. Hamlet has taught me this one. As Nabokov said, on number 10, a good reader should have the patience of a scientist. So no matter how difficult it was, I always kept along with the text. I always tried to understand and try and follow along and get what's going on in a way I can show this is in the notes. So I went back in Hamlet in the notes that I took and saw that I wrote down some words that I really didn't understand in the text, like "oh hasty" and "'tis," like phrases like "'tis pity" and "'tis true" and "half." So for half I put down halves, but then I went back and looked it up and it was actually half, so that makes a lot more sense. Or hasty, I had no idea what that meant, so I did go over that and it actually means too hasty. So by doing that, by looking at words that aren't under and don't have definitions in Hamlet really helped me understand Hamlet, and I think that Hamlet is that is one way I can work on improving my reading skills, is going back and maybe rereading Hamlet, because that is definitely one that I did struggle on, and I will need to reread to get more of an idea of what went on in that book. So that is Hamlet. And another way I've improved in reading is just to learn to be silent, to listen. And I think that listening is one of the most important keys to comprehension. And I show this through my notes. So whenever you would have a class discussion, or you would have notes to talk about the characters, it's very important just to listen. So I wrote down the characters, the traits, and even just things that I would hear sounded very important. So I wrote down prologues and so the characters and stuff, and I feel like this is a very vital part to so being able to listen, silence, being able to be quiet pretty much and listen to you as you are trying to give us as much information before we actually start a novel. That is where I've improved reading a lot, because it is one of the most difficult things for me to start reading a book. The first couple of chapters is one of the hardest things for me to get through, because sometimes it starts in weird scenes, and it'll start and I just don't understand what's going on, and I'll get lost automatically. So when you give us information and notes about Frankenstein, or the Paradise Lost, or any kind of, or Beowulf, any kind of information that you give us beforehand, I really took that in and went through that before I actually started the novel. That's what helped me with Frankenstein, helped me interpret what Frankenstein was mostly about in the beginning. Also, by improving my comprehension, by improving my understanding of the book, it helps me have more of an artistic sense. As Nabokov said, number 13, a good reader should have an artistic and a scientific temperament. So it helped me, because I was able to comprehend what was going on in the book, and I didn't have to go over it and try and figure it out. I was able to go into another area and visualize what's going on, and maybe get a better understanding that way. So throughout the past couple decades, reading has been seen as a chore to some groups, but people don't realize that literature can open your mind, and what really appeals to me is that it can change you, and it can train your brain to filter different ideas, and it takes bits and pieces of the author's theories and their ideas as well. And what this does to your conscious is it trains you to be more understanding. But this doesn't come with just reading one book, it comes with reading consistent books. Even reading outside your comfort zone, like how I read Hamlet. Pushing your mind outwards towards other people's ideas, religions, and cultures. It can change, but only if you listen and read consistently. That connects with Rime of the Ancient Mare with me. So in Rime of the Ancient Mare, the way I improved with this one is more consistent. Being more consistent with my journal entries and reflecting. So for Rime of the Ancient Mare, I talked about how the crew took the sign of the breeze wrong. They were thinking of it as death. So later on they faced fate, which was death. So that is like the irony of it. And I reflected on this journal entry. It shows that it shows the cause and effect of not only jumping into conclusions, but by judging a book by its cover. They perceive the albatross as something bad. Therefore, it was made into something bad and ended up reflecting back on them. And then another one is, I think that the major theme for this poem is about the importance of the animals' lives. It is, animals' lives are just as valuable as humans' life. In some respect, it has. So if there are consequences for a human if he were to murder another human, the same consequences if an animal were to be killed by a human. And this entry really reflects my own personal feelings about the importance of animals' lives that we take for granted, and the consequences should be equal for a murder of a human as it is for an animal, because we are worth just as much as them. This journey of improving as a reader has, it reminds me of my journey of learning how to play the guitar. So at first it sucks. Like, you don't know any of the chords, you don't know any of the notes of any songs you want to play, and it's not a fun thing. But once you get a hang of it, once you get a couple notes down, and then you start learning tunes and how to play, it's one of the greatest things ever, and it becomes one of your favorite hobbies. That reminds me of my journey of improving as a reader. As long as you stay consistent with reading or whatever it is that you're doing, you will improve, because consistency equals success.